What's going on, folks? My name is Ryan, and I'm the trubeleafer. You can find me on Instagram or Twitch. In fact, that's usually where I do stuff like this. But as some of you already know, I was away for the weekend at my son's hockey tournament, which was a blast, by the way, so I couldn't do the whole live stream thing. Instead, I thought I'd take some time and put together something special to wrap up this year's Leafs season. I've put together this little mini-series called How the Leafs Lost. And over the next few days, you're going to see little chapters on what I think really happened out there. So don't miss any of those, man. You got to hit subscribe right now. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now in order to do something like this, I know there's going to be people that just think I'm a biased Leafs fan and therefore have nothing valid to add to this conversation. Shut up. I know what I'm talking about, and I'll prove it right now. We'll start this first chapter with what the Leafs did wrong. For some people out there, they're going to think that this is a topic that's so obvious it doesn't even need to be mentioned. And most of those people are morons. Whatever, Troops. The Leafs just keep losing in Game 7. It's the same thing every year. Same thing every year. If that's your opinion, you're not paying attention. A series like last year against the Montreal Canadiens, that was an epic failure. They clearly should have won that series, and they let it slip. To say that that is the same thing as this year means you know absolutely nothing about this game. So instead of fighting with me, why don't you just shut up, sit back, and I'll explain things. Because I know what most of you are going to say. Tampa Bay had the better goalie. That's why they won. That's why they won. Jack Campbell could never get us a cup. Actually, Jack had one less goal against. He was tied with Vasilevsky for save percentage. He was tied in saves made as well. Jack was right behind Vasilevsky for goals against average. And Jack had the only shutout in the series. So we actually had goaltending that if you don't want to say was better, you have to say was at least as good as Tampa Bay's. Oh, but the Leafs' multi-million-dollar offense just can't come through. They can't score. They don't know what they're doing out there. Actually, the Leafs had more goals and more shots, which means they also defended better since they had less shots against and less goals against. So clearly their offense can get it done. Yeah, well, they just don't care enough. They don't have heart. They don't have desire. They don't have drive. They don't have will. Shut up. Remember in games 1 and 2 when they had all the drive, all the will, all the grit that we've been begging for all season long? Remember what happened? Yeah, the Leafs started getting penalty after penalty. So when you see something like Nylander perhaps going a little soft in the corner, after what they experienced earlier in the series, they're gonna be a little paranoid out there. So what did they do wrong? Well, for me, there was only 3 flaws that really stood out. Number 1 is they took chances with trick plays. Remember that Kerfoot drop pass to nobody? Yeah, stuff like that. Now, I'm not even putting that play specifically on Kerfoot because that's a play they do often. And Brody probably should have known that that pass was an option and he needed to be ready for it as well. Kerfoot also needed to make sure that somebody was going to pay attention and actually get it. But also, Keefe himself encourages these kinds of plays. So even he gets some of the blame on that one. They didn't do it often, but when they did, it usually cost them. Number 2 is I would say they didn't take enough low shots on Vasilevsky. He's too good of a goalie. He's going to drop down to that butterfly and he's going to snatch up everything you throw at him if it's above the waist. So what I think the Leafs needed to do was really keep their shots low, force rebounds off the pads, and be ready to pick them up in the crease. Remember that Austin Matthews winner in Game 5? Marner whipped it off the pads and Matthews was right there for it. I think they needed more of that. And 3 was to play the body in front a little bit more. Certainly it was most evident in Game 7 when the Tampa guys literally got the puck in his feet and Toronto's defense is too busy trying to whack at it and find the puck. They should have just straight plowed the guy. But again, in Games 1 and 2, they probably would have, because once you make them paranoid about taking bad calls for roughing, slashing, high sticking, you name it, the level of compete is going to drop down a little bit because they're too nervous about taking another 2 minutes. I'm not putting that on the refs necessarily. What I'm saying is in moments like Game 7, you need to say screw the refs and just go for the hit anyways. If you take 2, you take 2. It's better than a goal against. But I'm telling you, I'm only picking this apart for the sake of doing it. They rarely made these mistakes. They played some of their best hockey they've played all season against a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Which brings us to our next topic, what the Tampa Bay Lightning did right. After all, there's 2 teams on the ice. Toronto had their part to play, and so did Tampa Bay. So to find out what Tampa Bay did right, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. Comment below and tell me what you thought the Leafs did wrong. Maybe point out some things they could try and fix for next season. But I'm warning you right now, if you're gonna whine just to whine, I'm gonna tear you apart. Is it because it makes me mad? Nah, I just like the interactions, and so does the YouTube algorithm. So thank you very much, and I can't wait to put up the next one for you. So as a good friend of the channel says, it's Leafs forever, not Leafs when it's easy. Way to go, boys. Thanks for the awesome season.